I think that none of us really knew what to expect because, like you said, there's not a lot of studies done with MSM, but there's none, as far as I know, done so far on combination collagen plus MSM.
Yeah.
So we're really, it's like a breakthrough study.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Nutricosmetics 2030 show. I'm Matitz Batagel, your host for today's deep dive into the world of nutricosmetics research. As we journey through the exciting landscape of skincare and health, we constantly find ourselves at the intersection of science and industry. And that's precisely where where today's episode is taking us. So recently, we got one of our clinical studies published in the Journal of Functional Foods. So today, we invited the professor who led this study. So joining us today is a special guest, Associate Professor Dr. Katja Žmitek, who is focused on research in the area of nutrition and public health and influence of nutrients as well as functional foods on health, with special focus on skin health. She's the Vice Dean on the VIST Faculty of Applied Sciences here in Slovenia, where she leads several modules in Bachelor and Master Cosmetics programs and is head of research group at VIST Institute of Cosmetics. She also holds a research position at Nutrition Institute, and she has authored over 50 contributions in renowned scientific journals and collaborated in or headed several research projects and clinical studies, as well as epidemiological studies in the field of nutrition and health. Also joining our conversation today, our usual co-host and our very own Chief Innovation Officer, Uroš Gotar, to provide us with, let's say, a bit more practical, real-world perspective on how these findings influence our business decisions and product development. But before we get into the meat of the discussion, let's take a moment to welcome Professor Žmitek to our show. Professor, it's an absolute honor to have you here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Let's just get straight into the research, into the recent study that was published in the Journal of Functional Foods. Can you take us over a little bit of the overview and the objectives of the study that we did together?
We did a double-blind, placebo-controlled study. It was four-way study in which we tested 3 active products and compared their effects with placebo. Our main objective was testing if the active products have significant influence on dermis density, meaning if they can improve collagen condition and content in the dermis. So we have also several secondary objectives. We were focused also into the skin thickness, roughness or smoothness, if you look at the other side. Also wrinkles expression, hydration, viscoelasticity, and some more parameters. And we tested, as I already mentioned, supplementation with 3 active products, which contained all contained collagen. One contained only 10 grams of collagen. The other contained 10 grams of collagen in combination with methylsulfonylmethan, MSM shortly, and the other had half of the dose of collagen, only 5 grams, and also combined with MSM. And the subject supplemented their food with those products or with placebo product that did not include any active components over 12 weeks period, and we checked their condition of the skin at the baseline and after 6 and 12 weeks of intervention.
So before, of course, everyone is like, I think, want to hear about the results. But before we get into the results, I have a question for Uroš here. So one side is this, let's say, academic research, but on the other hand, what were the objectives, or what was the company's perspective here? Why was this study so crucial for the company?
Well, I think that efficacy is paramount when you think about why clients want to buy supplements or nutricosmetic products for that sake. I think this is the most important thing, that the products work, because that's why they buy. They don't buy it because they are cheap. They don't buy it because they look nice. They don't buy it because the packaging is attractive. Like all of these things also, but the main thing is efficacy. And here's a bit of spoiler alert. We've managed to prove the efficacy. So this was very important to us. And also for me personally, I am a great enthusiast for collagen supplements. I have always been since the start of my career. And I've been looking at very positive results that the customers give us, and I was always interested to see if we test this in a controlled environment like this clinical study, if we will prove significant efficacy.
Okay, so let's just get into the findings of the clinical study. Professor, what were the most significant findings here?
Well, we got really good results for most of the parameters. I was also a bit surprised, I would say, because we were able to prove that all three products were effective in improving dermis density. And the dermis is the central part of the skin that is responsible also for the elasticity, for also good smoothness, texture, and so on. And when we are we want to achieve anti-aging effects, we want to target the dermis. So we achieve that with this supplementation with all products. And besides the dermis density, it was interesting that only the products which included MSM were able also to improve thickness of the skin. All the products were also able to improve wrinkles visibility, so the wrinkles were less visible after the intervention period, and also the roughness got better. The skin was smoother, but again with products that included MSM, the results regarding this texture were better. The results were twice as high than with collagen-only product. And the product that included MSM and higher dose of collagen also was able to significantly improve hydration of the skin after 12 weeks of supplementation. So I would say that we were able to show the efficacy of the products in the most studied products, but on the other hand, we were unable to show improvement in viscoelasticity or transepidermal water loss. So they did not affect skin barrier function in a way that they would improve it. That was not the case. But otherwise, results were very good.
So you said that you were even a little bit surprised by the results. Were something that you really didn't expect, and it happened, like with one of the, I don't know, the factor or the measurements, like was something that you really didn't expect and it happened, or Were there some unexpected results?
Well, I would say the magnitude of the results was higher than expected. I did expect some improvements, but they were much more pronounced. And it was also interesting findings for MSM, because there is not many studies studying only the influences of MSM on the skin. At least almost no placebo-controlled studies. So I was happy to see that collagen and MSM can act synergistically in this combination, and that MSM even improves the results.
I think that none of us really knew what to expect because, like you said, there's not a lot of studies done with MSM, but there's none, as far as I know, done so far on combination collagen plus MSM.
Yeah.
So it's like a breakthrough study in this sense.
That's very, very interesting. And Uroš, since you started already, how does this findings validate our, let's say, product claims or the product philosophy? Were there something in the clinical study that like really proved your idea of efficacy through consistency?
Yes, I think that the study has proved, like we have established the efficacy. So this efficacy part is checked. Indeed, we are building on this philosophy, like you said, efficacy through consistency, right? And the consistency is referring to, in this study, like on those 12 weeks. It was regular use, but we have to appreciate that those are still, it's a controlled environment. So correct me if I'm wrong, but patients get compensated for everyday use of the product. They have to write diaries, they need to report, and you encourage them to take the supplement every day. But this is not real world. Like, this is a controlled environment. In the real world, we know that people tend to break their routines very often because of various reasons. And here I think that our main, how should I say, focus is how to get them to take the supplement every day.
Like in the real world.
In the real world environment. So in this sense, we have to make the product attractive, which is good taste and convenient, easy to use.
Maybe I would add some regarding effects of Nutricosmetics and the problems that are here in this field. The results that we can achieve with Nutricosmetics are not instant. So you have to take the products over longer period. If you are talking about skin, also the regeneration cycle of epidermis, which is faster than dermis, it takes at least 4 weeks. So you cannot expect much of the product before at least one or more regenerative cycles goes through. So and here is the problem, maybe that if people are taking the products and they don't see the results after 2 weeks, they are just not into it so much anymore. At the beginning, the nice looks of the box, let's say, are sufficient. But if they don't get the results fast, they often stop using it or become the routine. They break routine. So here, can those results be good to show them that they should take the product at least 12 weeks to see the results, because we also have the results after 6 weeks, and we saw that most of the parameters are not very much improved after only 6 weeks. So you really need a few months to
That's right. We're really trying to get this message through, like efficacy through consistency. The product is only effective if you take it consistently for a longer period of time.
That's actually, like what's behind, like in one of the previous episodes, we really talked a lot about what makes a good habit, like what helps you build it. So like efficacy is like definitely one part of it, and like it's a cost of entry, let's say. Like you don't want a supplement that doesn't work, but yeah, like taste and convenience and ease of use, it's also like a big part, which I think we touched on this discussion in one of the episodes or in a conversation that we had. It's really this controlled environment of the study, but then you also have like the real world, and if you want this like efficacy, like you have to take it in the real world too. But before we go on, like let's maybe not talk about the real world so much. Let's get a little bit more into the academics before that. So from the academic standpoint, how do these results contribute to the, let's say, larger body of knowledge?
Well, by academic standards, we have only one clinical study that is showing that one active component is effective for improving something. That's not enough. We question it all the time, and we are looking into the doing more and more research. So when we have a base of several clinical studies that are showing the same direction, that in all the results are going in same direction, then we can do also meta-analysis when we can conclude something that a product is able to improve some condition based on several studies, because they are all showing in the same direction. That is what we want to achieve. And here we have, in the field of collagen, we have quite some body of clinical studies already. But on one hand, they focused into very different parameters, each studying different parameter, or they are often, collagen is often studied in combinations with other components. There are not so much studies using only collagen as a sole component. So in this study, we have in one product only collagen. That is good, that is adding knowledge about effectiveness of collagen only. And on the other hand, we studied the combination with MSM, which Uroš already said that it was the first time that this combination was studied. So those data are improving knowledge in the field of collagen supplements, further adding new knowledge on MSM, and so that is building new knowledge that is more and more complete.
Mm-hmm. And Uroš, here I would also like to ask you, so we see that it really improves the scientific research, but how does, let's say, a clinical study like this influence the product development, your thinking when you are, let's say, developing new things?
Mm-hmm. I think that this study will influence our future new product development greatly, because also we've set some benchmark, like we've set up the bar pretty high right now, and I think that somehow it's expected from our customers and even from ourselves that the next product will also be effective, like that we will be able to prove some efficacy in a controlled environment, in a clinical study like it was done.
So basically with this study, you made your job way tougher. So set the benchmark very high, and now the next products will have to be as good as those.
In some sense, yes, but I think it's a good direction.
Okay, and Professor, how do you see the role of this academic research in shaping the direction of the nutricosmetics, the industry, the development of new products? Like, what do you, what's your standpoint on that?
maybe I would say that it is important to have collaboration between academia and companies, more commercially focused, because we can have synergy. We can act synergistically. We are more into research. We are maybe more creative when thinking about how we could study effectiveness, what would be the best way to do the study, which methods to use, because we will all the time follow the development in the more research field. Here, which methods we can use, most advanced methods. We follow also new knowledge in the field of skin, hair, because we are also active in education new generations in that field. So we have to be on top of everything all the time regarding the knowledge. So we can offer then this to help with development of new products also, and support maybe in the field, as we saw, of effectiveness, studying effectiveness. So, and we can also give support during the development of new products by, let's say, focusing on what we have found and what we know that is working from other fields and so.
And Uroš, let's try to like go a little bit more concrete. So basically, let's take this study that we're talking about today mostly. Was there something concrete that you changed maybe in your thinking, or according to this study, like you changed something in the new product development? Was there like a concrete thing?
I wouldn't say it was a concrete thing that I've changed. It was reassurance that we are on the right path and we want to continue to be on the right path. I'm very happy that we have started this successful collaboration with the Faculty of Applied Science. I believe that in the future we will work together more on different products, or on collagen in different concentration for different application and so on.
Okay, and but let me maybe also like I have a sub question. How does this influence the collaboration with the customers of the company? How they can they can use that this research and these findings?
Oh yes, that's a good question, because this study is also significant in this sense, like in the relationship that we have to our customers. So the business, not the final consumer, but beauty claims, as we may heard, that they are actually could be challenged post-market, as opposed to health claims, which have a pre-market authorization. So in practice, this would mean that some brands would be challenged when they're making a particular beauty claim, and then they could get in trouble if they don't have some kind of proof, like this clinical study, to substantiate the clinical claim, the beauty claim that they've made. So in this sense, this study was very significant, and we can help them to defend those beauty claims that they made on the product label or on website.
And I guess also because this study was done on actual products that are not, let's say, put together only for the study. There were formulations that are actually in the market, like being used by people every day.
They are wholesome, right? Like you can sell those products. It's not, to me as an industry representative, it doesn't make sense to do clinical study with a product that is not cost efficient, that doesn't taste good if it's liquid, that it's not convenient to use. And we need to pay attention to all of these aspects that would make a successful product.
Okay, so Professor, did this study maybe open some new questions? Maybe opened like an opportunity for more research, maybe into like one of the ingredients or.
It would be interesting to test several other dosages of collagen alone, because here we tested only 10 grams of collagen alone, and 5 gram and 10 grams in combination with MSM. So it would be interesting to see the effectiveness of 5 gram of collagen alone. On the other hand, it would be also interesting to see what effects can have only MSM without collagen combination.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe this would be interesting if we take, especially if we take into account that there are no clinical studies with MSM, properly placebo-controlled. It would be also interesting to maybe study collagen in other combination with other active promising compounds. And in this study, we also followed the influence of products on hair and nails. This was done only by self-evaluations by subjects, but we saw that there could be some positive effects on also skin appendages like hair and nails, and that would be also good to study in the future.
And I believe you're already planning one of those studies, right?
Yeah, we are already planning study for those.
Okay, this is great.
Yeah.
So I guess in like a year or something, we can have
you can
new
expect to have a new episode 1 year from now, if not sooner.
If not so, okay.
We will discuss the results of the hair
study. So I look forward to discuss the hair and maybe some other combinations that you mentioned. But here, actually, I would also like to touch another aspect of this academic research. So we know this study was supported by TOSLA, by a commercial company. And here, of course, there are some questions that arise often. So how is this research objective? And how, like, do we really follow all the scientific rigor and everything, since it is supported by the commercial company? So how do we basically ensure ourselves here?
Well, for the academia, our integrity is of main importance. So we are also, our basic core is education. So this research is going among education, so it is not our main core. So we can say no to companies that want to influence the results, and we don't do studies for such companies. We have several levels that enables or ensure that we can keep our integrity here. So the first is that the company that we are working with must give statement that they won't try to influence the results in any way. The other is that all the procedures and protocol go through ethics committee, and we have to get ethics committee approval before starting the study. So, and ethics committee also evaluates if there is some potential bias and wouldn't allow to do such study. The other is that we usually tend to do double-blind studies. That means that neither the researcher, neither the subject do not know which product they are taking. So until the end, when we get final analysis, that we need to say, well, now we have to put those results into the groups for tested products, so we can do statistical analysis. Before that, neither of us or subject know which products we are we have in the hands. So that is another part, and we also are into publishing. So publishing is also important from academic point of view, and it is also good for industry if they have scientific studies published. But we want to publish all the results, because it is very often then that the industry wouldn't like to publish the results if they are negative, but for scientific community, it is important to know that some compound is not working because they can improve the knowledge in that field that prevents that the other study would be done with the same active and so on. So it is important to publish also negative results as well as positive. So, and it is good to publish it in open access journals, which is also this Journal of Functional Foods, in which this study was published, is open access. So everybody can see it.
Yeah. I mean, Uroš, here also, I would like to hear from you. So, because we see here, it could prove that like the product is not working. So you have this, let's say, risk from the company side. Why did you still, let's say, decide to support this academic research, and how can you like ensure your integrity here?
Well, it was a calculated risk for us in some sense, because we strongly believe that our products will prove efficient in the clinical study because of the testimonials that we get from our customers and their consumers. I mean, consumers of the product. But on the other hand, I strongly believe that even if you do this for purely selfish reasons, the truth will always come out. So if you lie to your customers, they will eventually find out, and it will hurt your business. So even if you're a brand, the rules are the same, and I think it's good for so many reasons to maintain your integrity, to tell the truth, and all of that. Also, I've said this in the past, that we are committed to do at least one clinical study, to sponsor at least one clinical study, perhaps more, but at least one a year, so that we are giving also back to the scientific community. And hopefully we can make good products out of that, so that the studies will propel the new product development in our company.
What's interesting here is, and I have another question maybe for both of you. So, because I'm a marketing guy and I have this kind of questions. It's, let's say I'm a brand and I want to have like my product should be like clinically backed. What should I look for? Let's say I have a producer, they are doing the studies. What should I look for in the study? What are like the main things that I have to be careful about?
As I already mentioned, it is always important to have double-blind study. And it is also very important to include placebo control. So there are quite some studies that don't have placebo control. And if we are talking about the skin, it is the outermost organ of the body, which is in constant contact with the environment. So we cannot control that influence as much as maybe in some other aspects of the influence, like blood markers or something like that. So we get seasonal changes due to changes in environment on skin. So it's, let's say, seasonally changes the hydration of the skin. It gets worse when we go to winter and better when we go to summer. And if we don't have proper placebo control that would account for that and show that it is normal seasonal change, we could, if we start the study with the product from which we expect hydration improvement in the winter, we would anyhow prove the effect because it's the seasonal change. And it's very important that we have this placebo control, that we can see which is the effect of the product and not of these seasonal changes, for example. So it is most important to have also this placebo control in studies, and the best studies are done that way.
What would you say, what is the percentage or how many clinical studies are done without placebo, so that they are designed in a way, like you say, like let's do it at that part of the year and prove the efficacy without placebo, which is really fake?
I would say in the field of skin,
Yeah.
there are quite some studies done like that. Also, when we are looking at topical products or nutricosmetics, but I don't have the, I don't know how much percentage, but those, maybe also those studies that are not on high enough level don't get to journals that are peer-reviewed or with impact factor, so they are not included in those Web of Science or Scopus. So it's maybe we also don't see all of them.
So would you say that if you, like you're a brand and if you look for a company that has peer-reviewed published study, like for example in the Journal of Functional Foods, that's like it? I mean, you basically it's safe, yeah.
Yeah, it would be much more on the safe side to believe those results than if you have a study that is only baseline controlled or no placebo controlled. And also if this Journal of Functional Foods is one of very good journal in the field of nutrition, so with high impact factors. So it is more rigorous. The criteria to publish in it are more rigorous than in journals with lower impact factor.
And I think this is also a great point to end. Like, I think we have the main learning is like check your studies and like make sure they're done good. So Professor Žmitek, thank you very much for joining us today in this episode. As always, I'm learning, like in each episode is like becoming a nutricosmetics expert. Now I know a little bit more of the clinical studies and everything around it. Thank you, Uroš, for
it's my pleasure
for co-hosting, and I hope we see each other in a year.
Thank you. I'm sure we'll see. Yes.